Introduction. In a world full of limitless possibilities and potential, our habits and mindsets influence the trajectory of our lives. Whether we realize it or not, the small decisions we make every day, the thoughts we entertain, and the actions we perform can either propel us to greatness or keep us from reaching our full potential. Our lives are constructed on the underlying pillars of habits and mindset. They have an impact on all elements of our lives, from our relationships and employment to our health and general well-being. We go on a transformative journey in Good Habits Create a Positive Mindset, studying the power of habits and the enormous impact they have on our lives. We will examine the value of fostering constructive routines and a growth attitude throughout this book. We can start to realize our true potential and work toward becoming the best versions of ourselves when we recognize the significant influence that our habits and mentality have. Our attitude towards ourselves will be one of the first things we examine. We are frequently the harshest judges of ourselves, questioning our values and skills. We may overcome self-sabotage and develop a loving and empowering relationship with ourselves by adopting a mindset of self-compassion, self-belief, and self-love. But things don't stop there. The book, Good Habits Create a Positive Mindset, also teaches us how to change the way we think about other people. We may foster harmonious relationships, forge significant connections, and generate beneficial ripple effects in both our personal and professional lives by adopting empathy, kindness, and understanding. We will look at useful techniques in this book to stop self-sabotage and get through the obstacles that stand in our way. We'll discover how to create SMART, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound objectives that set us on a clear path to success. We will also learn techniques for getting rid of procrastination and increasing productivity using positive psychology concepts. We may cultivate a mindset that flourishes in the face of obstacles and adversity by practicing positivity, gratitude, and perseverance. You can also get help from Good Habits Create a Positive Mindset in creating the ideal routine that supports your objectives and promotes your well-being. We'll look at useful advice for keeping tabs on your development and holding yourself accountable so that you can keep moving forward and developing. Finally, this book gives you a wealth of practical advice on how to change your thinking in a hurry. You can use the 30 effective tactics it contains to change your viewpoint, alter your thought process, and develop an outlook that makes room for endless possibilities. As we delve into the world of habits and attitudes, I want you to join me on this revolutionary adventure. We shall discover the secrets to success, fulfillment, and personal development together. Now is the perfect opportunity to reach your greatest potential and build the life you've always wanted. Are you prepared to start this empowering journey? Let's start. Chapter 1. Habits. We perform actions automatically thanks to our habits. They are the procedures that lessen the mental effort needed to execute our jobs. Because they are automatic, habits enable us to do activities without stopping to consider each step. How do habits develop? A cue, a routine, and a reward are necessary for habit formation. More specifically, the cue is the event that sets off our regular behavior. For instance, the fragrance of a certain meal may make us want to consume it, or it may make us want to smoke when we watch someone else do it. The routine is the series of actions we perform to accomplish our objective. For instance, enjoying a chocolate cake necessitates purchasing the cake, flour, sugar, and eggs before cooking it. The benefit we receive from following our cue is the reward. For instance, Eating cake makes you feel good since it has a sweet taste and is scrumptious. There must be a reward after the routine for us to build a habit, i.e., an incentive that will encourage us to carry out our activities repeatedly until they become automatic or unconscious, otherwise known as habits. What are healthy routines? Good habits are ones that both advance your personal development as a person and help you reach your life objectives. Good habits are therefore good habits, helping you to achieve your goals in life or otherwise enhancing your self-worth, self-confidence, or capacity for action. What are poor habits? The definition of a bad habit makes you or harms you in some manner. Since bad habits are negative, they either enable you to accomplish things you don't want to do or cause you harm by eroding your self-esteem, confidence, or capacity to perform tasks. Recognize your habits. There are many different techniques to recognize your behaviors. The most typical method is to just sit down and consider them. Although it's not the simplest method, it works okay if you don't know where to start. Writing is one of your habits in this situation. It could be initially challenging to identify what you write every day if you don't already know what it is. In addition, you may utilize certain tools to aid you. Doing so is simpler and more effective than simply sitting down and contemplating the situation. There are a few applications available that can ask you questions about your habits regularly to help you identify them, but they don't cover all of them since there are just too many. But there are alternative options, so there's no need to pay for anything like this. Make notes about what you did each day for a week or two or more, using a notebook and pen if you want something really simple to do. Take some time each day to jot down a few sentences about your plans for the day, either when you wake up in the morning or immediately before you go to bed after supper, or both. This is something you can do for yourself or with a family member. It's a fantastic approach to incorporating your kids in the process. If they are too young, you may just do it for them and let them finish coloring it at the end of the week. After you have written down all of your notes, spend some time reviewing them. If you can locate anything in your previous writing that you have written more than once, it should be regarded as a habit. You may identify your habits by writing these items down on a separate sheet of paper or notepad and then periodically going over your notes to see if anything else on the list appears more than once. How habits affect you. Habits are the routine activities you perform daily or nearly daily. We no longer even give them any thought since they have become so ingrained in our lives. You undoubtedly have a list of habits of your own. Most likely, you brush your teeth every morning and evening, but you seldom give it any thought. Most likely, you drive your car to work every day, perhaps stopping at a stop sign or a traffic light. I'm certain that pressing the gas and stop pedals is so normal for you that you aren't even aware of what you are doing. Our routines are guided by our habits, which have become so embedded in our lives that we don't even have time to think about them. And if we're being completely honest, many of our behaviors are actually beneficial. Let's use brushing your teeth as an illustration. It is a healthy practice that promotes dental wellness. Consider taking your car to work. It saves time and is quite convenient. Now, picture the stop signs or traffic lights at the freeway exits. When approaching a stop sign or traffic light too rapidly, you will need to press the brake pedal, which might be hazardous as well as inconvenient. Therefore, obeying traffic signals and stop signs when driving on the highway is a healthy practice that keeps us safe. Now, it's not necessarily dangerous for you or anybody else if you press the gas instead of the brake when you get to a stop sign, but it will be a little humiliating. However, if you consistently do this, it might be detrimental to both you and those around you, since there is a considerable potential that someone will suffer harm in an accident as a result of your negligence. The same is true of unhealthy habits like smoking cigarettes or chewing tobacco, which over time harm your health but become so ingrained in your life that they may be hard to kick. The easiest method for forming habits. By taking a few easy actions, you can create habits. The toughest step is the first one. You must realize that to create habits, you must comprehend how a habit makes your brain feel. When the habit is broken, this emotion turns on like a light switch. This switch cycles through being turned on and off before turning itself off. Your brain experiences pleasure when this switch flips. It feels satisfied with its actions. The same sensation you get after a satisfying meal or a fun night out with friends when you decide to call it a night, like after you finish a wonderful movie and are filled with joy, pride, or excitement. Disappointment is not the same sensation as this one. It's a satisfying sensation. Your brain will start to form the habit for you as it realizes that it will experience this pleasant feeling. Setting reminders for what to do to develop this habit for yourself will aid your brain in doing so. Before the behavior becomes habitual, you must constantly encourage and remind yourself to do it. There are phone applications like Habitica that can prompt and remind you to do things. You may also ask for assistance from people who will be supportive if they understand how crucial this habit is to you. By supporting your efforts, they feel good about themselves and are more likely to support your efforts as well as assist them in forming their own habits. Chapter 2: The Importance of Habits and Mindsets. You definitely have 3 or 4 terrible, perhaps embarrassing habits that you'd like to break, but they're so embedded in your way of life that you're not even aware of them. When someone eventually tells you the truth about yourself, that's when you finally come to your senses. They are accurate about you, but you don't want to confess it because you feel disgusted and humiliated. What do you do then? You become enraged with them. Then you recall that the attractive, pompous, but less capable coworker received the promotion you had hoped for the previous year. The aha moment is there. The realization that perhaps it's time to kick some unhealthy habits that might be preventing you from moving forward. The effects of poor habits. Life-destroying habits can be formed. No matter how many times you tell yourself they are unimportant, unhealthy habits have a much greater impact on our lives than we may realize. Let's look at the example below to see how destructive poor habits may be. You exchange phone numbers with someone you met at a social event. You decide to go on a date after a few months and schedule a lunch meeting a few days later. You two cross paths in a restaurant, delighted to see one another once more. Everything is perfect until the meal arrives. You start eating right away, chewing so quickly that food is flying out of your mouth, and you sound like a pig when it's time to eat. Your date is stunned as she observes. After that, the talk becomes stale, and you part far sooner than you had anticipated. Of course, they're not going to want to go out with you again. That much should be obvious. They'll locate another person who behaves more politely and doesn't spout food onto their plates. You resume your daily activities while still being perplexed as to why this individual hasn't returned your calls. Benefits of healthy habits. Don't worry. The good news is that these little handicaps can be overcome, and it's easier and more enjoyable than you may imagine. Let's face it, excellent habits make you stand out and open up additional chances, while negative habits frequently cause you to get passed over. The job interview is the best example to use to demonstrate this. Common sense says that you should present your best self and be adequately attired for an interview with 20 other applicants for a manager's position at a 5-star hotel in Washington, D.C. But let's assume you choose to spend the entire evening out with buddies at the pub. You arrive at the job interview the next day hungover, unshaven, with bloodshot eyes, wearing jeans and a t-shirt. Which candidate, you or the one who appears to be well prepared, do you believe has a better chance of landing the job? You must demonstrate your interest in a job before you can be hired. If you arrive in poor condition, the interviewer will believe you don't take the position seriously and will forget about you as soon as you leave. Using a growth mindset while leading. Imagine a learning environment where standards are high for teachers and students, optimism is palpable, mistakes are expected, the struggle is embraced, equitable access to advanced learning is the norm, perseverance and resiliency are valued, and growth is the focus rather than grades. This environment should be a safe space where ideas are accepted without bias, adults and students persevere in the face of challenges, and all educators believe that all students and teachers are capable of success. The school community mentioned above is one where adults and kids have a growth mindset, or the conviction that intellect, abilities, and skills can be grown and changed. Thanks to the research of Dr. Carol Dweck, a psychology professor at Stanford University, the notion that intelligence can develop and increase in both children and adults has gained significant traction in recent years. She also helped to establish the fixed and growth mindset hypothesis, which has led to a significant change in how people see teacher and administrative expectations, student learning, and IQ. The phrase growth mindset was invented by Dweck in 2006 to represent a belief system that claims intelligence and skill are flexible and can be cultivated. Learners who have a growth mindset think that they can learn and get better if they are persistent, resilient, and use the right techniques. They are aware that success will require tenacity and resilience, along with some difficulty, failure, and blunders along the way. Growth mindset thinking places more emphasis on the process of learning than on the result or grade. A teacher with a growth mindset thinks that all students can show considerable progress with effort, hard work, and the application of methods. As a result, all children deserve demanding learning experiences. This idea, combined with a competent teacher equipped with resources that differentiate instruction, address learners' needs, and foster critical thinking processes, makes for the best possible learning environment for students. Growth mindset. A belief system that holds that one's intelligence, skills, and talents can be increased or developed with tenacity, resiliency, and the use of useful techniques. A fixed mentality is an alternative conception of intelligence that Dweck, 2006, also proposed. A fixed mentality is the conviction that intellect, abilities, and talents are traits you are born with, have a hereditary component, and that you cannot modify your level of intelligence or abilities. A person with a fixed mindset may sincerely feel that he possesses a certain level of aptitude, competence, or intellect. Both extremes of this belief system pose difficulties for our kids. A fixed attitude creates a self-fulfilling prophecy for children who are not functioning at grade level or who don't think of themselves as smart. Because these students don't actually feel they can succeed, they frequently quit and don't put forth effort. Advanced learners may become obsessed with looking smart at any cost if they have a fixed attitude. They may breeze through school without making much of an effort, but they are frequently complimented for their excellent work grades and superior abilities. An accomplished learner with a fixed attitude may frequently begin to shun opportunities for failure. This is known as being risk-averse. Fixed mentality. A belief system that suggests a person has a predetermined amount of intelligence, skills, or talents. Consider your own mentality. Your mentality consists of the personal convictions and ideas that guide your actions and attitudes toward both yourself and other people. Your attitude has a direct impact on how your team perceives the workplace culture and how they see themselves as belonging there. The mentality of the teacher has a direct impact on how students regard themselves as learners and how they feel about themselves. How a youngster approaches academic issues is significantly influenced by his or her thinking. A young person who has a development attitude keeps going in the face of challenges. A kid who has a fixed perspective could give up easily, lack resilience, and be uninterested in learning. The core of a growth mindset is the conviction that all people, both adults and children, can achieve success with hard work, perseverance, resiliency, and smart solutions. Examining your mentality. I was preoccupied with performing well in school and earning excellent grades throughout most of high school. I may not have understood it at the time, but my grades were the sum total of my value. Every time I made a mistake, I would repeatedly berate myself for it, believing that it indicated I didn't comprehend, couldn't achieve, and wasn't deserving of anything wonderful. When I did well, the praise from my parents, friends, and professors simply served to strengthen my conviction that I was only deserving of respect if I had good marks. To be really honest, it was taxing, and I wish someone had informed me that failing occasionally was all right. My self-confidence was completely shaken the first time I didn't perform to my typical standards on an exam. What if I'm not good enough? I'll never be able to comprehend this, I say. I'm not intelligent enough. That story has probably been told to all of you before. We devote a substantial amount of our lives to measuring our value as people by our grades. Yet at the end of the day, a grade does not truly capture who we are. I believe that occasionally making mistakes is better than constantly succeeding because it gives you the chance to grow. You won't learn to achieve if you never experience failure. A growth mindset is a conviction that anything can be learned if one is sufficiently driven. It entails exerting effort despite the possibility of failure. Most significantly, it is understanding that making errors doesn't always indicate failure, but rather presents a chance for improvement. Perfectionism is essential in the world of the fixed mindset, and it needs to happen right now. After all, if you have to work hard to succeed, you must not be very good. Wrong. Your capacity for growth is not constrained by your efforts. Instead, it is released by exertion. You are choosing growth over the fear of failure by adopting a growth mindset. Your failures won't stop you from succeeding if you have faith in your ability to learn and develop. One person craving for acceptance feels the stuck attitude. The biggest dread in the fixed mentality is, in the words of Carol Dweck, the psychologist who developed the growth mindset theory, the concept of striving and still failing, of leaving oneself with no excuses. You can always say, "I could have been," without trying. However, you can no longer claim that after trying. This type of thinking is problematic because it discourages you from making genuine efforts to achieve your goals. In contrast, it is almost inconceivable to desire something strongly, believe you have a chance to attain it, and then do nothing about it in the world of the development mentality. The "I could have been" is painful, not consoling, when it occurs. You can't truly advance in life if you have that fixed attitude, are continually looking for approval, and are attempting to continually prove that you are the best. You'll never be able to break free of the vicious cycle of prioritizing a constrained definition of success above learning to let yourself develop and evolve. And when that inevitable failure does occur, it will be terrible. Fixed mind students frequently study by merely trying to remember everything without making an effort to learn. They come to the conclusion that the topic is simply not for them, and that they are unable to grasp the information if they perform poorly on a test. Students with a development mindset take ownership of their own education and scan lectures for recurring themes and guiding ideas. They study not merely to ace the test, they study to learn. They thus earn better grades. Because a challenge has the potential to further growth, rather than only exposing deficiencies, as in the fixed mentality, students with the growth mindset welcome difficulties rather than running away from them. Students that have a growth mindset also ask for comments to help them get better, accept assistance from others, and most importantly, persevere in the face of obstacles. It's challenging to adopt a development mentality, especially if you've been mired in a fixed mindset for a while. Even after 3 years in college, I still frequently make the mistake of adopting a fixed perspective. Remind yourself of your progress. Recognize your own achievements. Keep in mind that your trip has only just begun. Recognize your own forgiveness and the fact that failure is a necessary part of growth. Older people should make way for newer people. Therefore, you have 2 options. Either give up those undesirable behaviors or become the social pariah known as the ugly duckling. You obviously don't want to be the odd one out. To turn your negative habits into good ones, read on and pay attention to how you do it. Chapter 3. Changing your mindset towards yourself. Without effectively altering yourself first, you cannot change anything else. You will learn many methods in this chapter to help you improve your thinking and start implementing good changes in your life. There is a delay in change. Because of this, it's crucial to develop self-control and patience. Once you've acquired those abilities, you need to develop your self-belief. You won't be able to get over whatever concerns you're currently clinging to unless you realize you have limitless potential. You start to have a clearer idea of what you really want from life. Having self-belief. Who will, if you can't, have faith in your own abilities? It's crucial to have confidence in your skills and abilities. Starting to believe in yourself is the first step you need to take to shift your thinking. Once you start to believe in yourself, you'll see that you start to want to interact with people and the environment more. You'll also see that you're constantly looking for fresh challenges and chances. You'll be a lot more productive and upbeat if you adopt a positive approach rather than feeling depressed and stuck in a negative mentality. You may take the following actions to boost your self-confidence. 1. Get a journal and list all the qualities you appreciate about yourself. Your IQ, people skills, sense of humor, and physical prowess are a few examples. Whatever traits you are most proud of should be recorded in this notebook. 2. Next, consider with your journal and list any talents you may have and any successes you may have had. You should also describe how those abilities aided you in your quest for success. For instance, I can make things out of wood. I've developed my skills over the years, and I ultimately utilized them to build my parents' house's back deck as a gift. It was my first significant assignment, and after I finished it, I felt really successful. 3. The next step is to organize your successes chronologically. Which ones are the most recent? How many date back more than 5 years? I discovered that the past several years had seen a steady decline in my accomplishments when I initially began the process of altering my thinking. In fact, the more pessimistic I became, the less I managed to get done. When you have all of this written down, you may refer to it for inspiration whenever you are thinking negatively. This will make it simple for you to look back on your life and see all you've accomplished and the things you're excellent at. Add your accomplishments and new talents to your journal as you go along. You'll eventually realize the positive effects having a development mindset may have on your life. Inspiring fears. Your concerns won't simply go away by themselves. You must first face your fear if you want to overcome it. You must be ready to do things that may be frightening if you want to advance and achieve new goals. Sometimes taking chances and dealing with some uncertainty are necessary to achieve your goals in life. There are moments in your life when you'll need to push past your doubts and worries in order to achieve what you want, whether it's asking out that special someone and fearing rejection, or quitting a secure career and establishing your own business in the hopes of something more fulfilling. By facing your anxieties, you may broaden your horizons and develop as a person. You may pursue something and seize whatever possibilities it might bring when you are no longer frightened of it. The majority of my mistakes were made when I allowed fear to dictate my course of action. I never looked back when I overcame a fear and still experienced rejection or failure, since I knew I gave it my best attempt. I am aware that things won't always go as planned and that I won't always get my way. The following actions can help you overcome your fears. 1. Describe your worries in detail, including the triggers. You can comprehend your fear and provide advice on how to overcome it if you know exactly what you fear and why you fear it. Whenever you do something on your list, make sure to check it off. You'll be able to notice your development as a result, which will give you more confidence to face your other concerns. 2. Understand you're not the only one who has anxiety. Fear affects everyone. Don't let anything that makes you nervous make you anxious or think less of yourself. Fear comes naturally. The way you respond to the fear, not the fear itself, will shape the person you become. 3. List any unreasonable anxieties you may be experiencing separately. What exactly is it, you ask? An illogical fear is one that is associated with a particular item, such as a fear of flying, a fear of clowns, or a fear of heights. Make a second list of manageable chores you can do after making your first one to help you face your anxieties. If you're frightened of heights, for example, start small by climbing to the top of a modest building and peering out over the rooftop. Once you've mastered it, repeat the process with a larger structure. You can eventually get to a point where your fear no longer restricts you. When she was younger, one of my friends used to have a terrible fear of heights. She eventually overcame her phobia, and she has since done several skydives, always gushing about how transformative they were for her. She discovered something she loves and is enthusiastic about accepting and overcoming her fear. 1. Keep in mind your prior achievements. As an inspiration to help you conquer the fear you're presently facing, consider something you were able to overcome in the past. This method has always come in handy for me whenever I've encountered a challenge. 2. When facing fear, stay in the present moment. Don't allow worries about the future to frighten you. Just keep moving forward and don't stop until you've conquered your fear. Choosing a purpose. What makes you tick? What does joy mean to you? Consider these ideas and you'll begin to understand what drives you in life. Perhaps you want to start a family. Maybe your goal is to increase your company's success. Before you can make any real strides toward your objective of doing it, you must first identify what it is that you're aiming to achieve. You can follow the steps listed below to decide what your objective is. 1. What inspires you? List your passions. Make a list of the goals you have and the things that make you happy. Always be absolutely honest when writing in your diary because these ideas are meant just for you to read. Don't include anything on your list simply because you should want it in life. 2. Talk about all the locations and people you cherish. This can help you develop a deeper knowledge of where your heart actually rests and help you determine what you want and where you want to go. Make a list of the things you would do if there were no restrictions. Finding your life's greatest passions will be made possible by doing this. 3. Examine each of your passions in further detail. What interests you? What sort of activities do you like to perform in your free time? Note all of these things as well as what you like about them. Additionally, list the individuals you value and the qualities you find admirable in them. You could also include any role models you may have and the characteristics that made them an inspiration to you. When you become aware of these attributes that you value most in others, you may start modeling those traits in yourself to advance as a person. 4. Plan your life backward. Working your way back to the present, start with how your life will be when you're elderly and retired. You may use this exercise to gain a glimpse of the kind of life you desire, and then you can work backwards from there to determine the measures you'll need to take to get there. You will have a much greater idea of who you are, what you value in people, and what you want out of life once you have completed all of these activities. Understanding these things will enable you to set objectives and start working toward them. The ability to be patient. Every activity has its own time and location. You won't achieve all of your objectives immediately. In order to achieve your goals, you must learn how to cultivate patience. Success frequently depends on timing. Patience enables you to recognize emerging possibilities and will enable you to appreciate the present and what you already have. The following actions can help you develop patience. 1. Your view of both yourself and others will alter as a result of exercising patience. Being patient enables you to give others the time and room they need to complete the responsibilities you've given them. The outcomes frequently suffer when you are overly demanding and irritable with those close to you, since you are not putting them in the best possible position for success. You may say the same about yourself. Being patient enables you to grow as a person and make choices based on what you want in the long run, rather than acting in a way that gives you some short-term, quick satisfaction. 2. You can discover additional opportunities if you are patient. When you are patient, you may avoid grabbing the first thing that comes your way and only partially satisfies your needs and wants. Instead, you have the option of waiting for the chance that will be most advantageous for you. For instance, if you wanted to buy a house but the market was now in a seller's position, you could have to settle for something less than what you had in mind. If you have the patience, you may be able to wait until the market shifts in your favor and purchase the home you desire for the same amount or less. 3. People are happiest while waiting. According to scientific research, the longer you have to wait for something, the more you cherish it. For the little period that it exists, instant satisfaction is fantastic. Waiting only increases the long-term worth of what you want. People who are adaptable and flexible find success and pleasure. The road to achieving your goals in life will be considerably more challenging if you are overly strict and impatient. You may develop yourself through patience, and it also enables you to have realistic expectations for others around you. Focus. You will be able to perform better and thus achieve more if you learn to focus. You'll become a lot happier if you keep your attention on the goals you have for your life. You may direct all of your attention to things that will positively impact you by putting things aside that aren't vital to you. Distraction reduction is not always an easy task. You will be able to do more than you ever imagined possible if you learn to do this, though. The following actions can help you improve your focus. 1. It might be quite beneficial to incorporate regular meditation into your morning routine. Every day, take a few minutes for yourself to sit in silence in a comfortable posture and practice unwinding and concentrating entirely on your breathing. As ideas arise, push them away. You should progressively increase the amount of time you spend doing this to around 15 to 20 minutes every day. Take a few minutes to come back to your senses once you've done your meditation before getting up and going about your day. If you incorporate meditation into your daily practice, it has been proven to increase your mental clarity and attention throughout the day. 2. Concentrate on just one item. I enjoy using the Pomodoro method. This essentially divides your work into 25-minute segments timed by a timer, with brief pauses in between. This, in my opinion, keeps me focused and allows me to take little pauses to unwind for a short while. This method is based on the idea that taking frequent, brief pauses can enhance your ability to focus and think quickly. You should feel free to follow your own preferences. Picking a task and focusing on it without allowing oneself to become distracted is vital. 3. Make a daily schedule in advance. Every night before I go to bed, I prepare a list of everything I need to get done the following day. This, I've discovered, not only helps me keep organized, but also helps me recall crucial things that I may otherwise neglect. For myself, Google Keep helps me stay organized. I can carry my list with me everywhere I go because it is free, easy to use, and seamlessly syncs with the app on my phone. There are numerous excellent web-based organizers out there. I advise trying a few to see which one you favor. I have a dream. You want to have a lifelong objective. Anything where constraints and restrictions are irrelevant. This should be a goal that you work toward for a long time, since achieving it will give your life a lot of significance and satisfaction. It's crucial to constantly keep goals in mind. When things are difficult, it will keep you motivated, and when your minor goals are accomplished, it will prevent you from being comfortable. 1. Make a thorough note of your dreams. You must be as descriptive as possible. As you develop and learn more about yourself, you can always tweak, add to, or change your dream. But for now, you should have a clear understanding of what it is so you can start working toward realizing it. 2. To achieve your goals, you must have some desire. Perhaps your desire isn't really your dream after all, if you're not driven to pursue it. You must discover what motivates you and provides you with a purpose to advance and develop personally. Always consider if what you're doing is genuinely bringing your desire closer to reality or just making it seem more distant. When you discover that some factors are preventing you from realizing your ambitions, you must find strategies to narrow your attention to what matters most. 3. Take a lot of action. Always be making progress and going forward. There are always other things going on in your life where you might be taking action in order to work towards your objectives, even though I do advocate patience when it best suits your long-term requirements. Understand your objectives and how you plan to achieve them. Any activity you perform will become more effective as a result. I constantly evaluate my actions to see how I might manage my time better in the future. 4. Don't worry about failing. Nobody ever achieves continuous success. Nobody will succeed. The key is to move ahead despite your setbacks and learn from them. A well-known illustration of this is Abraham Lincoln. His sweetheart passed away. He suffered a psychological breakdown, and he unsuccessfully ran for office at least 4 times throughout the course of his life, but he persisted and ultimately won the presidency. My recommendation is to have fun while doing it and not let the result determine how happy you are. If something doesn't go your way, pull yourself back up and find a different approach to get through any obstacles that could be in your way. Remember that your optimistic outlook will gradually become more natural the more you believe in yourself. Don't let limiting thoughts or bad outcomes get in the way of your success. Chapter 4. How to become a better version of yourself. I'll go over the measures you should be taking in this part to become the best version of yourself. You'll spend the rest of your life working on it. There's always room for development. Although no one will ever be flawless, perfection is something to aim for. Take on new challenges and risks. Many of us shy away from challenges or dangerous activities. These tasks might occasionally seem impossible to do and too onerous. People frequently prefer their comfort over their happiness. This is because they have a stuck perspective and don't think they can achieve the objectives that would ultimately lead to happiness. Many individuals, including myself, have solely considered the negative aspects of a scenario, believing that failure is inevitable. This kind of pessimistic thinking makes you overestimate the likelihood of failure to the point where you convince yourself not even to attempt. As a result, individuals tend to stick to their daily routines and refrain from taking chances or straying outside of them. Your life won't change until you act as a catalyst for change. You need to constantly push your boundaries and leave your comfort zone. It's the only way to develop yourself considerably, and it will give you the development attitude required to handle any difficulties that may arise. You can follow the instructions listed below. 1. Have faith in your ability to do anything you set out to do. 2. Outline your objectives and a strategy for achieving them. 3. Put your strategy into action immediately. 4. Continue to assess the outcomes of whatever activities you undertake. 5. Continue with the method for the following objective. When you break things down, they appear to be a lot more manageable. I try to divide up all of my goals into manageable chunks. I am confident that if I concentrate on taking one tiny step at a time, I will finally reach my destination. Because I'm constantly finishing chores, it also helps to keep me motivated and on track and maintains my forward momentum. Show discernment. There are countless diversions in the world. People frequently waste hours each day on television, the internet, and mobile devices. It will be a lot simpler for you to start experiencing good improvements in your life if you can lay down those distractions and concentrate all of your attention on crucial duties. I would take a day to do what you do on a typical day. The only difference is that I require you to record everything you do and how long you spend doing it. Try to be as truthful as you can. It's only for you on this list. See how much time was wasted on diversions and frivolity at the end of the day. Determine how much time was spent pursuing your aspirations and objectives. Most of you will discover that you waste a lot more time than you imagined on distractions. You'll discover that you weren't giving productive projects nearly enough of your time. What I advise doing is planning some future productive chores that you could do with the time you would have spent being sidetracked. I have a daily plan for what I want to do each day, in addition to an overall strategy for the tasks I want to complete. For a few days, avoid all outside distractions and focus on what you consider vital. At the conclusion of those few days, assess your accomplishments and determine how much more you were able to do while you maintained your concentration. Once a few days have passed, you can add some more time for a little diversion. To rejuvenate, everyone needs some downtime. I simply want you to give it a shot and see what a difference it can make in a short period of time to be totally focused on your objectives. Additionally, I want you to understand that you can be wasting more time every day than you previously believed. Over a few months or years, even a little reduction in your distractions can have a significant impact. The gift of failure. Even though it hurts and might make us feel depressed, failure is frequently our best teacher. The thing that helps us develop the most as people is failure. Many people have a fixed perspective and see failure as evidence that they weren't intended to try something or succeed. You must approach it with a development attitude, understanding that each setback is really a step on the road to ultimate achievement. I'm confident that every time I've failed at something, I've gained a ton of knowledge. I take the time to analyze each failure and list the things I did correctly and incorrectly. Sometimes it's just as vital to understand what not to do as what to do. This statistic may surprise you. Most businesses fail during the first 3 years, around half of them. Although that figure sounds absurd, it is real. But if you don't get back up and try again, you're never truly a failure. The only real failure is inaction. The following actions can help you succeed. 1. Research the requirements for accomplishment in the endeavor you're doing. 2. Compile a list of all your abilities and shortcomings that are relevant to your goal. Then, I'd suggest asking some of the people you trust to evaluate you and provide feedback so you may determine whether your perceptions of yourself align with those who are close to you. I believe that many of us occasionally misjudge a few of our own talents and flaws. You'll have a better understanding of who you are if you hear other people's perspectives. 3. Always strive to strengthen your areas of weakness and expand on your strong points. Never hesitate to ask for others' assistance when you need it. Your objectives don't care who assists you in achieving them. Keep your ego out of the way so that you may succeed. 4. Constantly make plans. Understand where you are and where you wish to go. I constantly try to think forward to where I want to be in a month, a year, and 5 years. In my opinion, having those check-in points will enable me to assess my progress and determine if I am on track, ahead of schedule, or in need of devoting more time and effort to a certain area of my life. Embrace innovation. You'll discover that you are frequently driven by the progress you make when you strive towards your objectives and succeed in completing your duties. But eventually, most of us will encounter obstacles. These can be triggered by a variety of life events, such as the death of a loved one, an accident, or an illness. We ourselves can create obstacles by harboring self-doubt, anxiety, and pessimistic thoughts. Despite our best efforts, occasionally these unfavorable emotions will manage to surface and start having an impact on us. We need to continuously look for novel and exciting methods to develop personally in order to overcome this. Having new experiences and attempting new things is one of the ways we can expand our ideas and become more mature. I'm aware that whenever I get outside and try anything new for the first time, I frequently feel a surge of uplifting energy. These encounters are food for the soul, reviving you and lifting you out of any funk you may be feeling right now. Although occasionally feeling down is normal, there is no reason why you shouldn't actively work to overcome that emotion. Always try to return to the happy version of yourself. You might like to try some of the novel experiences listed below. 1. Including a new activity in your everyday routine. For instance, I enroll in a new class every few months. These courses have included anything from Krav Maga to art. I like picking up new skills. While I stopped doing certain things like painting because I realize I'm not passionate about them, I genuinely love doing Krav Maga. 2. Trying novel cuisine. Prior to beginning this trip, my palate was really dull. I limited my diet to a few meals that I found enjoyable. I'm willing to try anything now, at least once. I've discovered that I like a lot more kinds of cuisine than I thought. 3. Making new friends. I said this before, but I genuinely like meeting new people. It's really energizing in my opinion. 4. Acquiring new expertise. I just got into woodworking. Growing up, I was never really hands-on, but now that I'm older, I find it to be a fulfilling experience. 5. Education via reading. I make an effort to read a new book at least once every few weeks. I regularly cross books off the list and add new ones to my list of roughly 50 novels that I wish to read. 6. Exploring new locations. I adore traveling. It's one of my favorite activities. It is, in my opinion, crucial to my ability to remain content. I'm hoping that one day I'll visit each of the 7 continents. I've reached 4, and I'm still going. In addition, if I share the experiences mentioned above with people I care about, I usually find that I enjoy them more. When it's feasible, I advise completing some of these with your friends and family. Chapter 5. Changing your mindset towards others. Strategies for fostering a growth mindset. Adopting a growth mindset is the first step in creating the habits necessary to reach your maximum potential. The appropriate mentality for success cannot be developed overnight, next week, or whenever a favorable situation arises. This is something that will begin immediately. Your mentality consists of your fundamental convictions about who you are and what you're capable of. This may include aspects of your mind like your IQ, character, and abilities. Your current frame of mind is a product of your unique history, upbringing, worldview, and set of circumstances. Consider for a moment what your current frame of mind says about you. How do you want to feel going forward? To guide your life on the path that will bring you the most happiness and success, you must continuously question your current perspective. You should train yourself to have a growth mindset and prioritize your own growth. Some of the best methods you can use to do this are listed below. Look at obstacles as openings. They are exactly what they seem to be. Every day, we must make critical choices. Should we take this new position? Should we take this relationship to the next level? Shall we uproot? Should we seize this chance? Overcoming obstacles is crucial to maturation in some cases. The more difficult situations you're put in, the more you may discover who you are and what motivates you. You can cultivate a growth mindset by constantly challenging yourself and setting new goals for yourself. New knowledge and abilities are always useful, and you never know when you might need them. Prioritizing education over peer approval. If you want to adopt a growth mindset, you'll have to rearrange your priorities. The pursuit of knowledge will now take precedence over admiration from others. You can't grow into your greatest potential if you're constantly worried about what other people think of you. Not everyone will support your decisions, but if you feel good about them and they are the best option for you, then you need no other validation than your own. Rather than focusing on what other people think, you should work on bettering yourself. Taking criticism in a positive way. While constructive criticism is never welcome, it may be viewed as an opportunity to grow. Instead of getting defensive when someone points out your flaws, see it as a hint that you need to focus on improving in that area. It's your own perception that turns constructive criticism into a personal assault, not the critique itself. Consider feedback as a chance to better yourself. Since that is the focus of the growth mindset, it stands to reason. Get a solid education instead of a quick one. One cannot hasten the learning process. Despite how frightening they may appear, you must be prepared to make mistakes and face obstacles. Making a mistake does not make you a bad person. If you don't attempt, you'll never know if you succeed or fail. If you feel like you have room for improvement, know that you are not a failure. That's what the careers of all high achievers have in common. The words of Thomas Edison, "I did not fail, I simply found 1,000 ways not to make a light bulb," could not be more apt. After all, if Edison gave up, we wouldn't be enjoying his remarkable achievements today. Look at the steps, not the end result. The trip itself is an integral component of getting there. Those with a growth mindset are open to new information and experiences, and they learn best by concentrating on their progress rather than their final outcome. When you take pleasure in what you're studying, you retain more of what you take in. While it's essential to have objectives, one of the most crucial aspects of becoming successful is picking up lessons that may be used for the rest of your life. Observing and studying the errors of others. Stop judging yourself by others and start learning from their actions and missteps instead. Remember what you've learned for the first time you're in a similar predicament. Think of yourself as being in their shoes when considering the errors of others. Consider how you may implement these insights into your daily routine. If you could do it again, what would you change? Building resilience and tenacity. Develop a deep commitment to your long-term objectives, to the point where you won't let setbacks discourage you or stop you from trying again until you succeed. The capacity to pick oneself back up after being pushed down is a major attribute of those who have a growth mindset. No matter how many times they've been knocked down, they get themselves back up and keep moving forward. Create meaning in your life. Developing a sense of direction is an important step toward achieving a growth mindset. Focus on the big picture and think strategically. If you want to cultivate a growth mindset, you need to take the long view and ask yourself, is what I'm working on right now a part of a major life goal? You should rethink your priorities if the answer is no. With each success, a new objective appears. Celebrate your successes and then challenge yourself to reach even greater heights. Achieving one's objectives is an ongoing process, and those with a growth mindset are always pushing themselves to do better in their personal and professional endeavors. Another objective will always exist, yet another attainable goal, yet another challenge to take on. Keep waiting. The road to success is long and winding. You must give yourself sufficient time to achieve your goals. Nothing worthwhile in life is ever simple or easy. To prevent becoming disheartened when results don't appear as fast as you planned, it's important to be realistic about the time it takes to accomplish an achievement. The growth mindset involves practicing patience and accepting the reality that hard work is inevitable if you really desire something, maybe for a very long time. If you persist in it and don't give up, you'll see results for your perseverance. Chapter 6. Stop Self-Sabotage. It's up to each of us to decide how much joy we want to experience. When things grow too hard for them, many individuals have the unfortunate tendency of undermining and restricting themselves out of fear. It's human nature to be wary of novelty and the unknown. One of life's most potent emotions is terror of the unknown. The fear of failing prevents you from even attempting, which destroys the positive mindset you need to achieve your goals. Self-sabotage. What is it? Self-sabotage occurs when an individual intentionally causes harm to themselves or prevents themselves from realizing their full potential. Self-sabotage is something of which we are all guilty, often without even being aware. Sometimes you may be aware that you are doing it, but you carry on nonetheless. If you're emotionally eating, for instance, you probably already know that this isn't a good habit, but you may still give in to the urge nonetheless, since you have no idea how to divert your attention or control your need. Why do we continue to do this? Why do we persist in engaging in behaviors we know lead to failure and disappointment? Well, ease is certainly one of the reasons we keep at it. Comfort is a basic human need. Because we prefer familiar activities, we have a hard time trying something new. We want the safe and comfortable status quo, and we reject change at all costs. When things are too perilous or unsure, we tend to avoid them. Everyone, if given the chance, would rather remain inside their comfort zones, and self-sabotage occurs when one is either nearing or has crossed this boundary. When things get challenging, there's a portion of your mind that encourages you to retreat or give up. Your thoughts begin to convince you that the uphill battle is not worth fighting, and you make choices that prevent you from succeeding. Self-sabotage. Self-sabotage is always deeply tied to issues of confidence and self-perception, as well as your comfort zone. If you tell yourself you don't deserve happiness, you won't give yourself permission to feel it. The same holds true for doing tasks and achieving objectives. You may think you want to be successful in a given field, but deep down, you know you don't have what it takes to make it happen. A successful person never questions their abilities. They got where they are because of this conviction. However, they would not have progressed as far as they did if they had questioned themselves and allowed doubt to seep in. I don't know if I can do this. You will always self-sabotage if you don't believe you deserve it, even if you don't realize you're doing it. Procrastination, making excuses, experiencing an emotional roller coaster that makes you want to give up, not committing totally to what it is you want to achieve, not focusing 100%, and not giving it your best effort are all ways you'll encounter resistance. Self-sabotage can manifest itself in a variety of ways. How to stop sabotaging yourself permanently? Oftentimes, a mental roadblock is all that stands between you and success. It might be difficult to develop the kind of resilient mentality that can see you through tough times if you don't know how to create positive habits that will serve you well. Knowing the nature of self-sabotage raises the question of how to put a stop to it. How do you break through the barriers in your head and avoid sabotaging your own efforts when you want something badly enough? If you want to stay on track, you need to develop the positive psychology that comes with forming new habits. Acknowledge the fact that it is occurring. Recognize the ways in which you have impeded your own progress in the past. Recognize the moments of resistance that come from stretching just beyond your comfort zone. You may feel uneasy about what lies outside your usual routine, but keep in mind that with difficulty comes growth. If you refuse to take any action, nothing will ever change for the better. It's crucial to keep reminding oneself that despite the initial unease, change may ultimately be beneficial. Leaving your comfort zone is a muscle that has to be worked out. It's challenging at first, but with practice, you'll get better at it. Develop your sense of worthiness. A fresh conviction is essential to your new, positive mentality. A conviction that you have earned whatever success you want. Have faith in your own abilities to bring your goals to fruition. Your quest for self-improvement will entail constructing a stronger sense of self-worth. If you don't believe in yourself and your value, you'll never be able to appreciate or love yourself, much less identify your best qualities. Without taking action, low self-esteem and poor self-worth can be one of the greatest obstacles in your life and the most crippling cause that prevents you from achieving what you desire. You have to convince yourself that you deserve success. Otherwise, no amount of effort will ever be enough. Don't engage in critical internal dialogue. Don't even think of saying or doing anything bad. A pessimistic outlook is like a heavy anchor that does nothing except drag you down. Do not give in to it, and if you find yourself thinking negatively, stop yourself right away, since doing so will only make you feel worse. It will take time, but you should try to reframe your negative ideas as more optimistic ones. Using positive affirmations can help you get through the barrier of negative self-talk. Affirmations are powerful tools for altering one's outlook and frame of mind. The most influential people in the world often rave about the life-altering effects of positive self-talk. Consider inspirational keynote speakers. Put an end to destructive thoughts and focus on developing positive ones, such as a successful attitude. Affirmations are a great way to start acting like the successful individuals you admire and adopting their positive habits. How to overcome your fears. Feel the fear, but master the art of overcoming it. Feel the fear and do it nonetheless. Fear manifests itself as procrastination. You put things off because you're scared of making a mistake. That's why you give in to self-sabotaging behaviors like delay and denial. You are growing into a more powerful person with every choice you make to confront your concerns, even if you don't see it happening right now. Learn to face your fears head-on by becoming self-aware of them, figuring out why you have them, and then pushing through them. Take more immediate action and less time-wasting procrastination. Fight temptation. To give in to temptation is to engage in yet another sort of procrastination. It will require a lot of determination to resist temptation, and if you don't have the self-discipline to back it up, you will always find yourself falling short of your goals instead of making progress. Finding strategies to deliberately avoid and fight temptation is key, as is never giving in to the lure of procrastination, no matter how strong the pull. Keep the larger picture in mind and focus on the long run. Remember that short-term gains are meaningless. Picture Anne and Sally in a hypothetical situation. While Sally is more likely to resist the impulse and get some work done on the weekend, Anne may give in to the urge and watch a full season of her favorite show on Netflix. This doesn't rule out the possibility that Sally faces similar temptations. Simply put, she avoided the unintentional self-sabotage by choosing to engage in a more fruitful activity. Maintain forward progress. Never giving up and always trying to make progress is a good strategy here. Those who have the self-discipline and motivation to never give up and constantly keep pushing forward are the most likely to succeed. This is due to their having developed the self-discipline to maintain the practices that have proven beneficial to them. When it comes to achieving their goals, successful individuals never give up. They work hard because they have to, not because they want to. They don't dwell on how daunting the task is, preferring instead to take things one step at a time. You need to teach your mind to be stronger than the self-sabotaging notion that keeps popping up whenever you're having a tough time. Refuse to give in and keep forging on despite this obstacle. Don't give up, no matter how you feel or what thoughts come into your head. Chapter 7. Create and Set Smart Goals. We can all identify with the experience of trying and failing to reach a goal, whether it be a personal one or one related to one's career. In most cases, we don't fail because we don't want to or aren't trying hard enough, maybe, but because the objective itself is poorly designed. The order in which you set your objectives matters. If you're having trouble seeing your objectives through to completion, you can benefit from using a SMART approach. How do SMART objectives work? The SMART acronym will give your goal setting more structure and evaluation. The acronym SMART refers to targets that are specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. When settling on objectives, the SMART framework is what you should use. Motivating yourself with SMART objectives might help you take the first steps toward making your aspiration a reality. Let's imagine you wanted to increase online sales by 50%. Let's take that objective and analyze it using the SMART criteria. The objective is to increase online revenue by 50%, precise. Increase website-based revenue by 50%, measurable. Do so through the use of more dynamic and driven advertisements, attainable. Incorporate dynamic ad content into the larger marketing strategy, relevant. And do so by the end of the fourth quarter, time-sensitive. Keeping meticulous records of each individual step is how progress is monitored and evaluated. Check whether your objectives fit within the SMART quadrant for each one you establish. Do you have a clear enough objective? Is it doable in the time frame you've specified? Does it make a difference in the big picture? Is there a deadline? Can we put a number on it? The SMART framework should be considered the bedrock upon which your objectives will be constructed. In some ways, it resembles a home. A sturdy foundation is essential to a long-lasting home. It will do its job for a time, but as the underlying structure weakens, it will begin to crumble. The SMART goal-setting framework is useful because it encourages you to formulate specific objectives. It gives you a tangible indicator of your success, revealing whether or not you're making any headway. Methods for achieving your SMART objectives. Establishing regular goal-setting habits is crucial if you want to achieve your full potential in life. Without them, it will be difficult to concentrate on anything. If you want to reach your destination, you need to have well-defined, well-structured goals in place from the get-go. The phrase, "I wish I could be more successful," is not enough. Setting objectives is essential because it allows you to eliminate the factors that have been preventing you from progressing. It provides direction and meaning in your life. You'll be reminded of your strengths and be able to show off your accomplishments. Meaning and contentment are added to your life as a result. The achievement of a goal transforms one's life because it gives form to one's deepest desires. However, aspirations without a strategy amount to little more than wishful thinking. It's at this point that the SMART objectives step in to take control. Realize that not all goals are created equal before beginning the goal-setting process. Because no two people have the same motivations or perspectives, it's useless to compare your goals to those of others. Your plan of action should be tailored specifically to you and your circumstances with reasonable deadlines that fit into your lifestyle. Here are the measures you should take to guarantee that any future objective is a SMART one. Maintain clarity. This should be your overarching aim before you begin working on any specific objectives. Every objective must be specific and measurable. You won't have much success in the long run if you try to achieve your goals without being clear on them from the start. The only way to reach your destination is to plan out the steps necessary to get there. Make a plan of attack. This strategy needs to be in keeping with your objectives. If you want to lose 10 pounds in the next 6 months, for example, you should create a plan that involves evaluating your current exercise and eating habits, making new healthy routines for yourself, developing an effective exercise routine, and reducing your intake of unhealthy foods. To get started, you only need a rough outline of your plan of action. You may expand your plan as you go by adding new stages and activities as you think of them. The plan of action can be changed as needed. Don't force impossible outcomes on yourself. Setting deadlines that are excessively stringent is a common pitfall that many individuals fall into. We are impatient by nature and like to see outcomes quickly. But if you set unrealistic deadlines, you'll simply end up causing yourself stress and disappointment. For a time, the deadline's impossibility will fuel your motivation, but ultimately, you'll give up when you realize you can't possibly meet it. There's nothing wrong with aiming high, but be sure you're giving yourself enough time to really accomplish each step along the way. Planning your approach. The following phase, after establishing your thoughts and objectives, is to start outlining the actions you will need to take to get closer to your goals. The question is, how do I get from A to B? How can you make some sort of progress? What specific steps do you need to take to make progress? The SMART goal format can help you understand what needs to happen more clearly, bridging the gap between your ideas and the real world. Your actions should be as crystal clear as your intentions. Being consistent and persistent is essential. If you feel like you've gotten off track, it might help to revisit your original objectives and evaluate how far you've come. Think about the mistakes you made and how to correct them. That's why a detailed plan is essential. Avoid juggling too many objectives at once. Having too many objectives at once is another typical problem that stops most individuals from achieving their goals. It's admirable that you have ambitious objectives, but we can only devote so much time and effort to achieving them. Only go on to more advanced objectives if you've completed the current ones. Take things one step at a time, and you'll accomplish all of your objectives. Your life objectives should fit into the bigger picture you're building for yourself. You should reconsider if your goal is worth your time and energy, if achieving it is not likely to significantly improve your quality of life. Setting target dates. Every SMART objective, no matter how small, should have a date by which it must be accomplished. When paired with the other components of the SMART framework, a deadline increases the likelihood that you will reach your objective. Not setting a deadline for a project means you may take as much time as you need, which is counterproductive. The yearning for a spark to ignite and propel us forward without falling off is universal. Take a pledge. The last stage in achieving a goal is a firm resolve to see it through. Avoid the trap of having two backup plans. Focus exclusively on this as your objective. Having a backup plan is like unconsciously admitting defeat. Make a pact with yourself that if you establish a goal, you will not allow yourself to give up or fail at any point along the way. Consider the end result in an agreement. Your dedication to your objective should be as firm as a contract. Every move you make, no matter how insignificant, should get you closer to your objective. Never let yourself get disheartened by the difficulties you face. Every day takes you a little bit further. Taking it slow helps prevent fatigue. Chapter 8. Eliminate your procrastination addiction. The renowned Mona Lisa painting by Leonardo da Vinci took him 16 years to complete. Da Vinci completed very few works throughout his lifetime. Margaret Atwood, a published author, freely admits that she is a morning procrastinator. Procrastination is obviously an issue that affects even the most successful individuals. The habit of putting things off affects all of us to some extent. Procrastinators have a lot of excuses for their behavior, including the belief that they perform better under stress. However, if you want to develop the habits of success and increase your productivity, you need to break the habit of procrastination. When should we start? Procrastination is one of the worst habits to have, and no excuse can make that reality go away. Then why do we keep doing it? A closer examination of most kinds of procrastination reveals a preference for short-term pleasure over longer-term gain or relief. As a result, you procrastinate by putting things off or diverting your attention to something easier or more pleasurable right now. In the 1960s, a physicist named Walter Mischel investigated the concept of rapid gratification. He started a series of tests that became known as the marshmallow experiment. He was interested in how kids develop the ability to wait for something they want. A group of preschoolers participated in the marshmallow experiment, in which they were shown two plates, one with a modest snack and the other with a much bigger one. If the participant rang the bell as soon as the experimenter left the room, they received the smaller snack. If they waited 15 minutes, they received the bigger reward. This was a test to observe how the kids would react if offered a smaller, more immediate prize or a larger, more distant one. It's fascinating that some of the participants were followed up on, again, when they were in their middle years. Children who were able to resist the temptation of quick satisfaction were healthier, had more self-esteem, and performed better academically than their peers who were unable to control their desires. The temporal motivation theory is one explanation for procrastination. The procrastination equation is a formula developed by Dr. Piers Steel to explain procrastination. The formula's goal is to maximize our job's utility or our overall incentive to get things done. The lower the likelihood of procrastination on a task, the higher the usefulness or motivation. The components of this formula are expectation or confidence in one's ability to finish the work, value of the reward that the task is going to offer you, intensity or the propensity to be easily sidetracked, delay or the length of time one must wait before receiving the reward. Procrastination may be traced back to an individual's need for instant fulfillment or pleasure. Your deadliest enemy is procrastination. Procrastination and delay are roadblocks that prevent you from progressing toward your objectives. The longer you put things off, the more lame your justifications get. Motivation must be high enough to be worthwhile in order to overcome procrastination. When we anticipate that something will be challenging, we are less likely to jump right in and get it done. Conquering your tendency to put things off. Overcoming procrastination can get you closer to success as you concentrate on creating other, more positive habits and effective routines. Following these instructions will help you combat procrastination in the present so that you can immediately put an end to the behavior as soon as you become aware of it. So, to speak directly. To forgive one's self. Although it may seem counterintuitive, the first step in changing your procrastination habits is to forgive yourself for them. If you can forgive yourself for the errors you've made in the past, you free up mental space for reflection on how to improve the future. The same thing occurs when we put things off. A study conducted by Timothy Pitchell surveyed 119 college students to determine the relationship between guilt and procrastination. The results showed that students who had forgiven themselves were less likely to put off studying for future tests. Forgive yourself for your delay before proceeding to the next stage. No one is perfect. The important thing is that we grow psychologically from our setbacks in order to make wiser decisions in the future. Doing away with inducement. In a literal sense, look around you before settling into work and make a mental note of anything that could distract you. Recognize that the only way to avoid distractions and stay on task is to eliminate them entirely. Your cell phone is included in this as well. You're less likely to give in to temptation if you remove it from your environment. If you can't focus because of your surroundings, try working somewhere else. To maintain concentration, you must get rid of the distraction. Make yourself responsible for staying on task at all times and eliminate any potential distractions. Design the ideal office for yourself. You are the best judge of what might readily divert your attention away from your task, since you know yourself best. That being said, if you want to avoid procrastinating, you may want to create the ideal working conditions for yourself. Make sure you have a place to work that is both relaxing and devoid of temptations by eliminating any potential sources of disruption. Set up your home office in a spot where you won't mind spending a few hours at a time working and where you will feel most productive. While you may be constrained in what you can change about your working environment, you should still do what you can to minimize distractions. Rethink what you consider to be a win. Find a new definition of success that works for you now. For instance, even if you labor nonstop all night, you probably won't be able to meet the original deadline if you've put off working on the assignment until the last minute. Your already low levels of motivation to complete the task will plummet when you grasp this. Instead, you might try something new and determine for yourself what constitutes success going forward. For instance, a new deadline may need to be considered if meeting the current one is no longer feasible. If you can see that progress is achievable from where you are now, you'll reignite your drive to get the work done and feel good about yourself in the end. Set work hour limits. Some people find it challenging to concentrate on their job for long periods of time while sitting at a computer. Distraction from the work at hand is a major contributor to procrastination, since it causes us to lose track of time. To get around this, set a timer for yourself whenever you have an important task to complete. It's up to you if it's for 30 minutes, an hour, or even 1.5 hours. But during that period, convince yourself that you're going to do nothing but work and throw away any distractions. After your allotted time is over, feel free to do whatever refreshes you enough to get back to work, including walking about and checking your phone. Put forth the most effort up front. When you think about it, the remainder of your procedure will be much more bearable if you get the most disagreeable parts of the duties out of the way first. We tend to put off doing the things that are most difficult for us. The morning is when we have the greatest energy and motivation, therefore, tackle the most challenging tasks then. If you tend to put off the more difficult activities until the last minute, consider shaking things up by doing the more challenging ones first. Once you've completed that major project, you may shift your focus to easier chores that will take you through the rest of the day. It's amazing how much better you feel and how much more in control you feel for the remainder of the day when you get the tough stuff out of the way first. Foster confidence-building opinions. Get rid of your self-limiting ideas and replace them with positive, uplifting ones. Replace the negative ideas that have caused you to put off taking action in the past with positive ones that will propel you ahead on the road to achievement. You wouldn't be here today going through this and learning how to become an even better version of yourself if you thought you couldn't become a successful person. It's time to do the same thing with all the negative beliefs you've been harboring about your own abilities. Chapter 9. Apply positive psychology techniques for incredible confidence. Confidence. Is it something you inherit? There appears to be some disagreement on how to resolve this. It's tempting to attribute someone's apparent ease in commanding a room to some innate trait while observing them for the first time. You can't help but wonder whether they were born with that air of self-assurance on their shoulders, especially when you know deep down that you just aren't there yet. However, confidence is a talent that can be developed. It's a trait that may be developed through conscious effort and mental shifts. What a wonderful thing it is to be human. When we set our minds to anything, we may bring about remarkable transformation. You have changed significantly over the last day, week, and month to become the person you are now. You will develop and change with time, and the future you will be different from the present you. That's because life's events have a profound impact on who you become. Life is full of changes, but how you adapt to them is up to you. You have the power to make positive changes in your life and to grow and develop as a result of your experiences. You may either use such setbacks as motivation to push yourself to new heights, or you can let them bring you down. Confidence may be gained by utilizing positive psychology to alter one's outlook and reduce feelings of inadequacy from the inside. Until you are secure in your own identity, it will be difficult to enjoy yourself in social situations. For the French author Alexandre Dumas, self-doubt was the same as joining the enemy and taking up weapons against oneself. He guarantees his own failure by coming to terms with the fact that he will fail. Dumas summarizes the importance of self-assurance in practically every endeavor. When you lack self-assurance, you withdraw from others and find it difficult to form genuine relationships, both of which exacerbate your sense of isolation. The goal of positive psychology is to have you think differently about yourself and the world. The importance of self-esteem. Trust and affection are the foundations upon which confidence rests. Self-love and self-trust, to be more specific. If you don't have this confidence in yourself, you'll be swayed by the opinions of others around you. Real self-assurance comes from knowing that you are valuable, just as you are. If you lack self-assurance, you won't be able to sustain satisfaction. Feelings of despair and unhappiness persist despite your inability to identify any particular triggers for these emotions. Maintaining positive relationships with others becomes increasingly challenging when you suffer from low self-confidence and low self-esteem. You can do anything if you just believe in yourself. When you believe in yourself, you'll be motivated to take action and complete your goals. If you lack self-assurance, you will never take chances or make significant changes in your life. You start to prioritize your fear over everything else, and eventually, it consumes you to the point where you can't leave the house or go to work without feeling sick to your stomach. If you lack self-assurance, you will never feel comfortable taking risks or seizing opportunities because you will continually doubt yourself and worry that you aren't good enough. Even worse is the fact that you may have missed out on life-altering opportunities because you lack the confidence to seize them when you had the chance. If you lack self-assurance, you can miss out on opportunities that could help your career, help you make new acquaintances, and help you make connections. Using positive psychology to increase self-assurance. Regardless of who you are or what you've been through, you have the ability to develop an unbreakable sense of self-assurance. The mind is a potent tool, and if you alter your perspective, you can alter your entire existence. The Buddhist scripture, Dhammapada, explains, "We are what we think, and with our thoughts, we make our world." When you believe you are confident, you will become so. While you may not feel as certain as you'd want to, you should try to approach situations with the mindset of someone who is. Remember what Socrates said. To find yourself, you must think for yourself. Several works or teachings by some of history's finest and wisest have solidified the idea that one's ideas may substantially improve one's quality of life. The Bible's King Solomon, for one, is credited with the proverb, "As man thinks, so he shall be." Start bolstering your self-assurance with these positive psychology strategies. Have confidence in your abilities. At the end of the day, the one with the best attitude will succeed. Since negativity is more powerful, it may take more effort to overcome it, but ultimately, the positive outcome will be worth it. Always. We have a negative bias because it takes the brain 4 times as long to store positive information as negative information. We prefer to criticize over compliment, and we look for faults before we see positives. As a species, we have an innate predilection towards the negative, and we don't give ourselves any special consideration. Your self-assurance comes from recognizing your many excellent qualities, accomplishments, and benefits. Dedicate the time every day to reminding yourself of your accomplishments to start building your self-esteem. Keep your flaws to yourself. Considering our recent conversation on the value of playing to your strengths, this may come as somewhat of a surprise. Focusing on the positive is what positive psychology recommends, but the reality is that problems won't go away until you take action. Even the most self-assured people in the modern world have to work hard to keep pessimism at bay, and part of that fight is learning to put distance between themselves and their flaws. After you've established a solid set of strengths to develop, it's important to take stock of your weaknesses. It's all right to accept the parts of yourself that you may never be able to alter. You shouldn't expect perfection from yourself or anyone, since no one actually is. The capacity to accept one's defects and inadequacies is a source of great strength, and once those areas have been identified, attention may be directed toward strengthening them. Think about it. Imagine yourself as a capable, self-assured individual. Imagine yourself as the person who can confidently enter a room full of unfamiliar faces and immediately begin making meaningful relationships with people. We are naturally visual beings, so supplying your mind with visuals will make it more vivid than words. You have the power to create any reality in your head. The possibilities on the human mind are endless. If you can picture the worst things that may happen to you, you can also picture the best things that could happen to you. Using your imagination and seeing other outcomes may be a powerful method for improving your creative and cognitive abilities that you can take with you everywhere. The key takeaway. Making comparisons is a bad practice that will undermine your efforts to develop a winning mentality. You may achieve your own unique brand of success because of this. You may stop comparing yourselves to others, since you will never reach their level of perfection. Your thumbprint is as unique as you are. Just like no 2 thumbprints are identical, no 2 people are the same. It's what sets us apart from the competition. If you want to boost your self-assurance, you have to learn to ignore that critical inner voice. Your critical voice never stops complaining, putting you down, and planting seeds of doubt and pessimism. There's no reason you have to have all of it cluttering up your life. You'll be a lot happier once you learn to quit comparing yourself to others. Look assured. Most of the time, our lack of depth is inadvertent. We form our first impressions of someone based on superficial factors like their appearance and demeanor. The truth is, we're all guilty of it. Before we even start talking to each other, we form opinions based on our initial impressions. It's how our heads are wired to operate. When you alter your behavior and convey an air of self-assurance, others will view you differently. Even more significantly, it alters your own sense of self. Just by straightening your back and bringing your shoulders back, you'll feel and act more confident. Taking pride in your appearance and practicing proper hygiene can help you feel good about yourself and project an image of self-assurance to the world. Chapter 10. Create your perfect routine with habit stacking. The hardest aspect of this approach is probably going to be developing and establishing the new behaviors. Each of us has a common desire to improve our abilities, work more effectively, and accomplish more. New habits are difficult to maintain at first, so even when we have the best of intentions, we may not be able to see them through. Forming a new routine is much more challenging than forming a new habit. That's an even greater challenge. You probably have a lot of habits established right now where you just go through the motions without giving any thought to what you're doing. You get straight to your morning routine of brushing your teeth and showering. You automatically prepare yourself a cup of coffee and a meal every morning. Without giving it any thought, you get dressed and get ready to go for the day. These customs and rituals have become so ingrained in our daily lives that we do them almost mechanically. There are probably hundreds of habits you have that you aren't aware of or paying attention to, but you may use a method called habit stacking to build new ones on top of the ones you currently have. Define habit stacking. It's a basic idea that can be easily implemented by anyone. The concept of habit stacking refers to the practice of building upon an already established pattern of behavior. Let's use 3 of your current routines as an illustration. Turning off your computer at the end of the day, brewing some coffee, and cleaning up with a shower are all good practices. These are the kinds of things you do automatically on a regular basis without being prompted or giving them any thought. Now, you want to start exercising regularly, meditating frequently, and reading more books. In order to stack habits, you must associate your new behavior with your current one. This is how you can incorporate the new habits into your daily routine. I will work out for 30 minutes before I shower. After I get out of the shower and before I start the coffee maker, I'll sit quietly for 5 minutes to meditate. Every night before I turn off my computer, I read 1 chapter of an eBook of my choosing. The goal here is to use an already established routine as a stimulus for the new behavior. As long as it serves your needs, you may implement this new routine whenever you choose, before or after your current routine. The idea is to connect the new routine to an already established one, creating a sense of continuity and naturalness. These changes may seem insignificant at first, but the whole idea of developing a habit is to cement it into your routine. People who have the self-discipline and motivation to always push themselves further are more likely to succeed. They've established useful routines and continue to use them often. Developing new positive routines is a critical part of making positive changes and moving on in one's life. If you want to succeed more, why do you need to alter or enhance your current routines? Because your mind and body will feel the effects of whatever you do and decide. The burden of negative and unproductive routines may quickly become overwhelming, yet we tend to ignore this fact. Stacking habits allows you to combine many routines into one. Don't stop with just one new routine after introducing several others. You may keep adding as many as you like until you've established a schedule that works well for you. Why do stacking habits work so well? Simply put, it's easy to implement. One of the most important rules for developing new habits is that they need to be simple to be sustainable. Using the habit stacking approach, how to establish a new routine. Having a regular schedule might help you feel like your life has meaning. From the moment you open your eyes in the morning, it instills in you a feeling of power and reminds you that your life is entirely in your hands. What you do, where you go, what you eat, who you talk to, how you move from one location to another, and how long you spend doing each activity are all up to you. You're not just going about your day blindly, but giving it some thought. You don't have to look very far for proof of the efficacy of establishing and sticking to a routine that helps you reach your personal development goals. It's inside everyone who's making their imprint on the world and leaving a lasting legacy. A set schedule for sleeping and waking. The routine of going to bed and getting up is well established. You're attempting to maximize your efficiency by instituting a better routine, which includes sticking to a set sleep and waking schedule. Get between 7 and 8 hours of sleep nightly. If you're not already doing so, establish a regular bedtime and getting up time that can help you achieve this goal. Make sure your sleeping time is long enough to give your body the rest it needs. An uplifting morning affirmation. To paraphrase the wise words of Jim Rohn, either you choose to run the day or the day will run you. Start your day off with a motivating phrase that will get you up and going. This puts you in the frame of mind necessary to tackle the day's difficulties head on. Eat on a schedule. This may seem like an extra step that isn't essential, but it highlights the importance of maintaining regular meal times whenever possible. If you don't have a set time for eating, you may find that you miss meals, feel excessively hungry, overeat, or binge when your day gets stressful. More than once a week is considered problematic. These behaviors are counterproductive because they subject the body to extremes of emotion and physiology, increasing the likelihood that the individual will eventually burn out. If you already eat every day, add eating at the same time every day to your schedule. Maintain a healthy diet and eat at certain times every day. Include foods from the necessary and recommended nutritious food categories in your diet to keep your body and mind functioning at their best. Dietary fads and severe diets should be avoided. Taking greater care in making decisions. Many of the decisions we make in our daily lives are made instinctively, without much forethought, simply because we make them so frequently that we no longer give them a second thought. When you hear that familiar buzz in the morning, hitting the snooze button on the alarm is almost reflexive. You probably don't give much thought to the act of brushing your teeth or taking a shower. If you find yourself reacting instinctively, pause and ask yourself if this is the best course of action. Is there a more efficient approach? By consciously determining what you need to accomplish, rather than letting your subconscious run the show, you may train yourself to always look for ways to better yourself. Categorizing work into groups. Making your everyday routine as orderly as possible is another simple, new habit stacking step you may include in your current routine. To get more done in less time, group related jobs or objects together. If you know you just have 20 minutes to check your inbox in the morning, it's best to complete whatever you need in time to do that, whether it's professional or personal correspondence. Make a schedule of all the must-do tasks so that your day may be counted as successful. The rest of it can wait. Scheduling saves time and effort and is crucial to maintaining productivity. If you want to see results from the habit stacking strategy, you'll need to build your new routines on top of your already established routines. The goal is for the old behaviors to serve as triggers for the new ones. If it doesn't, the effort to form new routines might not be as successful as planned. It's crucial that you layer the new behaviors over the ones you are already performing automatically and reliably. At first, establishing new routines may seem impossible, but after a few successful attempts, you'll find that it's easier than you anticipated. Once you've become adjusted to your new regimen, you may gradually increase the difficulty. Also, attempt to minimize the effort required to engage in the new routine so that you'll be able to do it even when you're too sleepy to think straight. Chapter 11. Track your progress. Not only are new habits hard to form, but maintaining them is just as challenging. Because of this, you must go at your own pace and give yourself plenty of room to adjust. Don't try to accomplish too much all at once. Instead, focus on developing a few good habits that will serve you well. When presented with the undeniable proof, no reasonable person can continue to deny the obvious. This is why it's important to set goals for which you'll be held accountable and to keep tabs on your development and achievements. Because of this very fact, to prove to yourself that you can do far more than you give yourself credit for, and that once you let go of your self-limiting beliefs, the sky is the limit. If you ever find yourself having second thoughts, remind yourself of what you've already accomplished. The same method has to be applied to your efforts to alter your behavior. It's fine to focus on changing only one behavior at a time, if that's how you find success. It only takes one good habit to set off a cascade of others, which you may layer upon one another to form a powerful pattern of behavior. The key is to start with only one habit and build on its success. How to keep tabs on your advancement. Everyone who has ever resolved to change anything about themselves, established a new goal, or began a new habit has done so with the full intention of seeing it through to completion. On the first day of your new exercise routine, as you get dressed and prepare to step out the door, your thoughts may leap forward to the conclusion of the 6 months when you've accomplished your goal of losing weight. The will to do it is present, but it is more difficult than it appears to maintain a new routine. It's normal to feel too exhausted to work out on some days. Sometimes you just aren't in the mood because of how the day went. Perhaps you've been too busy or something unexpected has come up to fit in a workout this week. A lot of individuals give up on their new fitness routines long before they reach the 6-month mark due to the myriad of potential obstacles they face along the way. One method for keeping those good intentions until you've reached your goals: keeping tabs on your development of good routines. Having aspirations without a plan to achieve them is useless. If you want to form a new habit that you'll maintain for years to come, that's great. But are you willing to take responsibility for achieving that goal? When you set a goal and commit to seeing it through, you take full responsibility for its achievement. When you set a goal and accept responsibility for seeing it through to completion, you gain a sense of ownership over that objective and the satisfaction that comes from knowing that achieving it will make you a better, stronger person. Peter Drucker once observed, "What gets measured gets managed." Keeping track of your achievements is a great way to encourage yourself to keep going. Using a habit tracker may indeed seem daunting at first. There are habit tracker applications that can keep tabs on your routine forever, for instance. Some people who are just starting a new routine may not know how long they want to stick with it. This may be okay for some, but daunting for others. One other drawback of habit tracking applications is that it just takes one slip-up to ruin your perfect streak, leading to unnecessary stress and pressure. While some individuals will find this encouraging, others may find it frustrating, since breaking their streak means starting from the beginning again after what they may feel like a lot of time has been spent. Another form of pressure comes from the individual's own determination to maintain the streak, and this can result in resentment if the habit is perceived as forced, rather than something the individual deliberately chose to begin. Still, you need a quantifiable means of monitoring your development in order to observe the shifts that are occurring. The trick is to choose a tracking method or software that suits your needs. The good news is that we now live in a world where there is no shortage of alternatives to test if a certain piece of software or system turns out to be less than ideal. Habitica. Those who enjoy pushing themselves to their limits will appreciate Habitica. Using this tool, your life and your aspirations may become an actual video game. Habitica combines the characteristics of role-playing games with those of habit trackers. You're not only improving yourself, you're also bettering a gaming character. There are many exciting elements, such as questing, looting, interacting with NPCs, and more. However, given the complexity of the features included, this program may not be suitable for all users. This software may not be for you if you aren't into video games. Habitify. This software is well designed since it combines simplicity with a beautiful interface. This inspiring and rewarding habit tracking system is compatible with a wide range of devices, including Android and iOS. Habitat Hub. If you want to keep a specific habit going, but aren't sure how long that would take, this Android-only software may help you set objectives for your streaks. Instead of keeping tabs on a behavior permanently, you may put up challenges for 2 weeks or 30 days. If you're unable to complete a habit on a given day, the app allows you to designate it as skip rather than failed, and you may add a message explaining why you couldn't complete the habit. Today, available only on iOS, is an excellent app for design-conscious people who find beauty to be a source of inspiration and motivation. You may add habits, check them off as you do them, and check in numerous times each day. Additionally, you can add custom cards to the habits data section. For a more complete picture of your progress, for instance, you may import your Apple Health data and combine it with the data from the habit you've set up. Observant Bee. With this software, you can essentially stake your money on maintaining your routines. If you feel like you need a system to give yourself that additional push to not give up on a habit, BeeMinder could be the one for you. It forces you to be much more productive and consistent with your routines by adding that financial incentive to do so. TickTick. TickTick is an advanced task manager and to-do list application. The app's built-in habit tracker makes it simple to keep track of your daily routines and manage your tasks from a single location. Coach.me. The habit-forming, goal-sticking software provides instantaneous coaching for every objective. The software has a coaching feature for individuals that might use some additional motivation, as the name would indicate. This app's primary function is that of a powerful habit tracker. However, it also includes social features like in-app counseling and message boards. You should expect other users to have queries and discussion threads related to any behavior that is popular enough to make it onto your list. You may use those to keep yourself inspired, learn what others have done to solve the same problem, and share any advice that has helped you in the past. If you need extra help getting started, you may pay a small fee for access to personalized check-ins with coaches. Strides. Strides is a quick and simple fitness software that is now only available for iOS. Strides allow for a wider variety of goal configurations than Habitify does. Streak objectives, like 30-day challenges, may be put up as yes or no goals, and goals that can be tracked depending on whether you perform a particular number of items can also be set up. One quantitative habit goal you may create is to walk 10,000 steps per day, and you could mark it off your list each day based on whether or not you met that target. Chapter 12, 30 Quick Ways to Improve Your Mindset. If you want to change your thinking, here are 30 ideas to think about. Some are mantras and things you should think about regularly. Others are concrete steps you may take to improve yourself. 1. Establish a daily routine. This is a fantastic method for ensuring everyday success. I devote the first 45 minutes of each morning to a routine that helps me get ready for the day. Meditation, yoga, positive affirmations, introspection, and routine planning are all part of my daily routine. This morning routine really helps me become centered and prepared for the day. Having a routine, even if it's not the same for everyone, may make a huge impact. 2. Remember to prioritize your own self-care. Your health is your most valuable asset. You should be pleased with both your physical and mental well-being. Putting aside time for personal development often requires prioritizing your needs over those of your loved ones and your business. Except for Sundays, I work out every day, and I go to Krav Maga once a week. 3. Don't judge yourself based on how you measure up to others. We have a bad tendency to constantly judge ourselves about others. You must pay attention to yourself first. When comparing yourself to others, keep in mind that you don't have complete information about them. When you make assumptions about someone, you tend to generalize the good qualities you observe about them. Gain confidence in who you are and what you can do. Focusing on how you measure up to other people is a fruitless activity. 4. Forget your mistakes and move forward. Your history shouldn't determine your future. You have to give yourself permission to forget about your mistakes and start again. If you have a growth mentality, you are continually looking for ways to make yourself and your circumstances better. 5. Write down how you have improved the lives of individuals around you. Putting down on paper how you enrich the lives of those closest to you is something I highly recommend doing. 6. Don't let past mistakes discourage you. You will fail occasionally. Having the character trait of perseverance is crucial. Consider every difficulty you encounter as a new challenge for you to overcome. To fail is to gain experience and maturity. 7. In time, I will have everything I need. Don't put too much pressure on yourself to succeed immediately. That's not even somewhat possible. Patience is rewarded by itself. Have fun along the way and don't force anything. If you do, you increase your likelihood of making mistakes with lasting negative consequences. 8. Optimistic self-statements may do wonders for your drive and outlook on life. During my morning routine, I go over a list of positive affirmations I created. You should have some affirmations handy that serve to inspire you. 9. Try to always improve things. Every day, you should make an effort to improve yourself further. There is always room for growth and development in your life. Nothing can ever be absolutely flawless. You may improve as a person and maintain your motivation if you're always challenging yourself with new endeavors. 10. Don't be too harsh on your self-criticism. You should always keep a caring and supportive attitude toward yourself. It's hard to have a positive attitude toward other people if you can't maintain a positive attitude toward yourself. Would you criticize those closest to you or even strangers if they made a mistake? No, of course not. As a result, you shouldn't do it to yourself. 11. You are a wonderful person who deserves to be loved and happy, so remind yourself of that. Reminding yourself of your positive qualities regularly will make them more automatic in the future. If you have a good opinion of yourself, you will do much more. You can't expect other people to appreciate or love you if you don't appreciate or regard yourself first. 12. Don't forget to take pleasure in the trip. Accept life as it is right now. You may still appreciate the here and now, even if it's not the eventual goal you've set for yourself. It's essential to make the most of the present while planning for the future, since you never know what cards life will deal you. 13. Remember that you have the strength and intelligence to go through everything that comes your way. There will always be problems to solve. It's a fascinating reality of life. It will be much easier to overcome obstacles if you approach them with a positive attitude. 14. No matter the cost, always go for your ambitions. You have one shot at this. Don't squander it by settling for less than you deserve. That's the worst thing you could do for your own well-being. 15. Be kind and understanding, both to yourself and to others around you. Even if you disagree with someone's actions, you must acknowledge that they have valid reasons for them. A more mature response than getting worked up about something is showing compassion, which requires considerably fewer mental and emotional resources. 16. You have a clear vision of your own future success. The choice of how you live your life is entirely up to you. It's up to you to decide how you'll spend the money. You are the hero of your own story, and that is something to keep in mind at all times. Don't put up with feeling like a supporting player in your own life. 17. Don't bottle up your negative emotions like worry, rage, and fear. Your motivation and concentration will suffer as a result of these distractions. You need to rid yourself of these unpleasant emotions as completely as you can. I make a point to do activities that make me feel better whenever I sense my mood dipping. Simple affirmations or setting aside time to do something I look forward to at the end of the day are two examples. 18. Give them a pass when they fall short of your ideal. Don't force individuals to meet your standards. Obviously, you don't want that done to you by other people. If you can learn to accept people just as they are, you'll have a much easier time connecting with them and maintaining such connections over time. Also, you won't be disappointed if they fall short of your imagined standards. You can only influence yourself since no one else will change. Don't waste your time attempting to change other people into what you want them to be. Working on yourself will take a lifetime. 19. Joy and pleasure are yours today. By starting each day with the conviction that this is true, you will maximize your potential. One can choose not to be angry. Don't allow gloom and doom to cloud your outlook. It serves no purpose and is counterproductive. 20. Have faith, and you will find that love and money come to you easily. A positive outlook can help you make the most of chances as they present themselves and move you closer to your goals. A can't-do mentality prevents the vast majority of individuals from making the most of a situation when it presents itself. If you keep a positive attitude and anticipate favorable circumstances, you'll be ready to seize these chances as soon as they present themselves. 21. Your personal happiness is in your own hands. Your level of success depends heavily on your own efforts. Sometimes, outside factors will assist or impede your efforts. However, in the long run, your level of success will be determined mostly by your own efforts. 22. Reality is what you make it, so watch your ideas. I think, therefore I am, is a well-known adage in philosophy. What you give your attention to during the day will shape it significantly. Because of this, When you make the conscious decision to think positively, you increase your chances of taking actions that improve the quality of your day. 23. Spend time only with those who appreciate and respect you and what you have to offer. It's been claimed that we become like our closest friends and family. That's why it's important to surround oneself with upbeat, industrious individuals. They'll rub off on you. After removing the toxic individuals from my life, I was able to enjoy life more fully and achieve more success. You should surround yourself with positive, encouraging individuals. 24. Relationships you forge expand your sphere of influence and present you with new opportunities. The more people I meet and connect with, the more I get done. I've developed a solid group of personal and professional contacts over the years to whom I may turn for advice or assistance. In addition, it was only after I made an effort to meet new people and broaden my social circle that I met some of my closest friends and family members. 25. Be ready to extend mercy to yourself and others. Everyone is fallible. Don't use them as a club to beat others or yourself. Keeping such a negative attitude does more damage than good and adds no value to your life. 26. Family is a blessing. Your loved ones, no matter how much they annoy you, are a blessing. You'll learn valuable skills for navigating groups with divergent viewpoints. You will learn a lot and develop as a person with the support of your loved ones. 27. Listen to your gut. Knowing what to do can be challenging and perplexing at times. You should follow your gut instincts if, after doing your homework, you're still confused about the next step. 28. Meditation is number 28. Daily meditation, in my experience, brings lucidity to one's mind that is otherwise unavailable. It will take some time to adjust, so bear with us. Once I got the hang of it, I was astounded by the difference it made in my life. I was able to maintain my concentration and growth mentality because of it. 29. Spend some of your busy schedules with your family and friends. No matter how busy I am pursuing my goals, I always make sure to make time for the people that mean the most to me. Spending one-on-one time with them is crucial. It will aid in maintaining positive connections and prevent you from being emotionally and physically exhausted. 30. Get going right now. There is no better moment than now. Why put off until tomorrow what you can get started on today? You must develop the habit of taking initiative. We should live in the now, since that's all we have. Conclusion. As we wrap up good habits, create a positive mindset, we may look back on the life-changing path we've taken. Throughout this book, we have discussed the significant influence that our thoughts and routines have on our lives. We know now that our daily routines, whether good or bad, shape our personalities and, in the end, our destinies. Establishing healthy routines lays the groundwork for development, achievement, and contentment. Concurrently, we have explored the depths of the mind as a lens through which one views and makes sense of the world. Our outlook on life's problems, the extent to which we trust in our own potential, and whether or not we allow ourselves to be curious and resilient, all depend on the mentality we choose. By understanding the significance of our thoughts, we have found that we can make positive changes in our lives. We have discussed the value of adopting a more positive attitude toward oneself, practicing self-compassion, and avoiding self-sabotaging behaviors. The need for developing healthy relationships and cultivating a compassionate, understanding, and forgiving attitude toward others has also been discussed. We have learned from this book how to improve our happiness and productivity by using the concepts of positive psychology and setting SMART objectives, among other things. We've figured out how to create a schedule that helps us achieve our objectives and keeps us moving forward regularly. We have also discussed the value of keeping a record of our efforts, being honest with ourselves about where we are, and rewarding ourselves along the way. Finally, we have been given 30 easy and practical techniques to enhance our attitude, each of which presents a special chance for development and change. It is important to keep in mind, however, that the story does not conclude with the last pages of this book. Changing one's perspective and exploring one's capacity for happiness are ongoing processes. It calls for focus, introspection, and a will to always do better. The only way to become the best version of ourselves is through dedicated practice and unshakable faith in our abilities. The knowledge and wisdom you have gained from reading this book should remain with you long after you put it down. Take baby steps toward incorporating them into your everyday routine. Recognize the significance of your thinking and the habits you form, and allow them to lead you to a future of happiness and success. Always keep in mind that you control your own fate. You can form healthy routines and train yourself to think optimistically. Becoming the person you were meant to be and living a life of meaning are both attainable goals. I appreciate you coming along with me on this life-altering adventure. I hope you find success, happiness, and many opportunities on your journey. Cheers to a brighter tomorrow filled with optimistic practices. The end.